Let's talk about jQuery's each function in a little more detail. Now, I've already covered it briefly and demoed it with the selectors earlier in the course, but if you didn't watch that part or if you want to get more details, let's talk about those. So the each function actually can pass you two parameters. Now, for the most part, I generally don't even need these parameters, but it really depends on what you're doing. Sometimes you might need, for instance, the index. So it'll pass you the item it's on as you loop through, and then it'll also pass you the actual element that it's looping through. So you kind of get the equivalent of what a for loop would do in traditional just regular JavaScript, where you might have I is less than the length, I++ type thing. The index will allow you to get that index, which is really useful because then you don't have to keep some type of internal counter going. Well, I don't use element a lot, but I'm going to show you that here at the bottom in just a moment. So I do use index from time to time. So what we're doing in this example is we're going in and we're selecting all divs. We're going to iterate through those. And as we do that, we're going to tell jQuery call into this anonymous function. Now the function only takes a single parameter. You can see that's just the index, which is going to be basically an integer. And then you can simply use that integer directly. Now, how do you get to the actual div, though, that's being looped through at this time? Well, the easiest way to do that is to wrap the this keyword, because this will represent the raw DOM object that you're looping through. But we want to wrap that with the jQuery selector. And so you'll notice we have the typical jQuery function here, where we start with the $, we wrap it with parentheses, and then we have this. So what that'll do is take the raw object, wrap it in a jQuery wrapper, and I explained this a little bit in the selectors module, but the reason we do that is we want to get access to the jQuery functions, jQuery API. If we just use this dot, we're not going to have access to methods such as text. And so in this example, what we're doing is just grabbing all the text out of each div and basically appending that to the index. So it would be the number equals and then the text for that particular div. So very, very simple, very easy to work with, and it actually saves you some code over a for loop. Now you can certainly use a for loop as well, and that's just personal preference, whatever one you want to go. Obviously, anytime you use the raw JavaScript APIs, performance-wise, you might save a couple milliseconds. It just depends on what you're doing, though. All right, now the second parameter that can also pass is the actual element being looped through. Now, I quite honestly never use this one. I prefer to do this. It's 4 characters, easy to type. But let's say we had down here the same function as up above, where we have the each, the function, and the index, except we're going to name the second parameter elem. What we can do is wrap that just like we did this. So it's the same thing. Elem equals this. And that's why I prefer to just use this with the each. It just makes it a lot easier to work with, I think. So now that we've talked about the different parameters that can be passed, let's take a look at a demo on how you can use the each function.